All right, want to do a quick little video here on the overall market. So currently looking at the S&P 500 futures. This can be ticker symbol ES on the 4-hour time period, just so that we can get a brief overview of this year trading so far, and a little bit of last year's in there as well. Not that we necessarily need it. But just looking at this year, pretty strong start, and then, as of recent, we've had the coronavirus breakout, and that took a toll on stock prices, but it also opened up a pretty good buying opportunity as of recent. Stocks dipped down about, or the S&P dipped down about 3.5 to 4%. And then we saw a nice little rebound, and we have been trading up ever since, and we have been hitting all-time highs as of a couple of days ago, and as we currently sit, we are setting all-time highs. So a lot of this is having to do with strong economic data that is continuing to drive the market forward. But just looking at the overall technical aspects, you can see that we have this overarching upward trend. Let's see if I can fit it all in here, dating back to early October, and you can kind of see this nice little channel forming. The coronavirus, again, we dipped down below, and it actually acted as a back test a couple of times, which was nice to see. So a back test there, another back test, and then we broke through it, used it as support, and have been continuing forward. So it's nice to see that that is validating this channel even once we broke it, and we are now back into that channel. So as time goes on, we will break the channel either to the downside or through to the upside. Through to the upside would be pretty tremendous, especially coming into an election year, but we might just continue to stay in the channel for now. But again, we are setting new highs, a dip every now and again, so that's giving us these little supports as we go along. You can mark one in here at 33.40. Another one right around the 33.60 mark, I think, is pretty important. You can mark one up here around 33.80, but again, we really haven't been trading up there long enough to consider that a pretty strong support. We really haven't even been trading some of these levels to consider them to be really strong supports. But on the shorter time frame, they could act as a support, which could develop into a greater support or resistance moving forward. But just wanted to go ahead and point those out. So, again, the overall direction that we're seeing here throughout 2020 so far, minus this blemish with the coronavirus, has been an upward trend, and as of now, there's really nothing that is stopping that from continuing. Now, if we go ahead and look at SPY, so this is an ETF that many people trade, that reflects the S&P 500, we're going to see the same correlation. So here's our dip, and then we are continuing to trade to the high side. We're seeing stronger supports around the the $333 point, and then you can say that there's another pretty substantial one up here around 335. Which we actually tested early on this morning, saw a nice little bounce, and now we are trending higher towards the 339 mark as we sit after hours. So again, good positive signs. We're seeing that we are continuing this move forward. We are trading above our moving averages. What you need to keep in mind is a potential shock wave, I guess, to the overall global economy that could potentially bring this down. Again, this has been a pretty spectacular move ever since we saw this big dip in late of 2018. We're looking at about 40%. 2019 trading wise was very good, continual uptrending pattern, and as we started into 2020, more of the same. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are a little bit nervous. You're always seeing new news articles come out about, is this the top? Is 2020 going to be the start of a recession moving into the election year? And that's good to have that skepticism in your trading or just in your investing, mind or mindset. But you don't want to be such a skeptic to miss out on some of these moves. And that is just something that I've learned over the years of looking at charts. Is if you are continually skeptic on why the charts are going up, and you're missing out on all those moves, you're just going to beat yourself up. And if you're trying to short, these small little moves to the downside, you're going to get burned on one of these big candles moving back up to the high side, and it's going to basically leave you either losing money or just dead even. So it is good to keep that skepticism in your mind, but don't let it take you over and allowing you to miss out on these moves. That's just from my point of view. Moving into SVXY, looking here more so at the hourly chart. This is what I was specifically looking at, and here for SVXY, I'm going to be looking at the S&P 500 futures. Again, now this one does not trade. It doesn't even really trade similar to SPY. You can see this was down 1% today. SPY was actually up just a little bit today, so it's not the same. This is going to be traded based off of volatility that we see in the VIX. So that's something to keep in mind. But it does give you a little bit of exposure to the S&P 500, and allows for a little bit bigger moves. So as you can see here, we pushed up towards the $68 price point, and then when we saw that pull down late last night and early this morning, that is what is represented here. And then we saw a nice follow through in the pre-market hours and into the morning, pushing up, not setting a high in comparison to yesterday, and actually kind of fizzling off through the end of the day. But overall, where I'm looking to see this move towards is closer to these mid 69 prices. But the first hurdle that we have to get through is these low 68s, and you can see that reflected here based off of what we saw here in late January, before we saw the coronavirus kind of take its effect here on SVXY. And it's kind of been an up and down path back to the high side, but I do think that it is possible to see SVXY trading back up north of $69 a share. Now, again, if things start to get a little bit shaky, a little bit rough, then we could move back down to the downside. But overall, we're seeing this nice little upward pattern ever since setting these lows down here around $62, and we even moved down briefly around $61 a share. But again, a nice little upward pattern. I do have a couple of shares here of SVXY that I'm just holding and looking to sell again around the $69 price point, which is leaving us with a nice little 2.5% gain to the upside. And again, if this starts to move down lower, I would say below, say, 66, the high 66s, and it's kind of starting to move flat and then round down to the downside, then I would close out my position. But again, there's going to have to be some sort of backing and support for closing that position moving forward. So I know I made this video a little bit longer than I probably should have. I said that it was going to be brief, but I hope that you guys got something from it that can hopefully help you with your trading, or you just enjoyed watching the video. So, best of luck to you trading, and thank you guys for watching.